Hi again. I'm finishing up with these questions that people have asked. And the next question was, what were the initial symptoms and how fast did they progress? I'll kind of talk about the last 2 years and sort of what's happened. My initial symptoms have sort of been the left side of my body. So this muscle right here, the one that you've seen in like some of the videos, my shoulder moving up and around. Sometimes it gets locked into a position. Um, it'll come back and swing forward. And a lot of times it was also in my abdominal muscles, and they would have moments where they get really violent. So if I'm on this chair, it will bang against the chair, or it'll just move really fast. And that was kind of where it started. And so basically, by the time that I decided to leave LA, the symptoms had fully taken over my entire left side of my body. So every single muscle at some point was involved from, and it always was sort of like a progression. It would start in the face and kind of work its way down, and then sometimes it would go into the toe, to my toes and curl up my toes, um, and it would just kind of go all through. And that was sort of when I realized I needed to kind of come back home and be with my family, to be able to help me, get to doctor's appointments and just to have a support system, because I have amazing people that I know in LA, but it was just different. We're so spread apart, and I made the decision to move back to Tucson. And it was probably the best thing I could do because it would allowed me to have a safe space to be able to kind of figure out all of the other symptoms. And I knew things were starting to get kind of bad about a year ago. The symptoms had kind of started to progress, like started to present a little bit on the right side, very, very small symptoms. And then all of a sudden, this one day, I ended up having an 8-hour spasm. I was at my mom's house, and I had the full blown attack on my left side, which lasted about an hour, hour and a half, and then it moved over to the right side, and it actually lifted my entire rib cage up and just threw me against my bed. And the scariest part about that night was that it had gone into my lungs. And when that occurred, I couldn't breathe, because they had just, my abdomen was fully engaged, and then my intercostal muscles are trying to spasm, which is causing my lungs to spasm. And I started coughing. And then I was laying down on the bed, and I couldn't get myself up. And my sister literally had to like pull me out of bed and throw me over her shoulder just to open up my rib cage. Um, and I thought that was the worst of it, but I ended up doing it once more again. I had the whole thing again, or left side of my body, then the right side, and then I started coughing again. And my mother, who, God love her, I mean, she's incredible, she pulled me out of bed. I think it was like at 2 o'clock in the morning, just threw me over her shoulder. And, I've just it's just been getting worse and worse. And then finally, the time when it got the most serious was this last, I would say the last holiday season, working at the store, at the Apple store, where I just every hour my shifts were being changed. And so I was 1 hour selling something and the next hour fixing things, and then the cognitive shifts were actually triggering spasms in my aura, which is basically the thing that kind of you're about to start a really bad posturing and a bad episode, is that I start to lose words, where I'll be talking and I just can't remember a specific word, like the word scarf, or something else. And then my cognitive capabilities, they actually diminish to about 10% of where I'm at. And I fix computers for a living. So for 10% of my brain to be functioning is really challenging. You put two things in front of me and you say, okay, which one do you want? And I look at both of them and I just can't decide. And so at that point, it was like a snowball effect, where I dropped down in hours, tried that out, but whatever was going on, like neurologically, had been triggered. Even though I was only going 5 hours for work, every time that I was away from work or on my days off, I would have really, really long attacks, and I was basically recovering during all my time off. And it started to affect the fact that I could actually even go to work. And the best part is, being 30 and looking the way that I do, you see me limping around, and someone says, "Oh, honey, did you hurt your knee?" And I always want to look at them and say, No, I actually have a neurological disorder that's chronic. But I usually just say, no, I'm just not feeling well today. Yeah, I should probably think about a better response. Okay, this has dragged on long enough. Sorry, a bit long, but hope that answers your question. Bye.